We're going to be looking at the final way you can set a task. This is the peer review. This is where you can set a writing task for students, where students are able to anonymously review their peers' responses. It is anonymous between students when they read and give feedback to each other on responses, but as a teacher, you'll be able to see each student's name attached to their feedback and their comments. Simply go in and select your classes, select your dates, and select your content as per normal. So for science, maybe I want to work on some biology writing towards excellence. I might choose a particular question or focus or context that I want students to write at a high level to improve their writing. That might be getting them exposure to other students' writing, taking on feedback, or preventing them just from skipping writing that they're frustrated about. So maybe there's some adaptations questions in here. And maybe I want to take a couple of others just to take a look through as well and see what's there. We confirm the selection. And now you'll notice it wants me to choose the specific questions I'd like students to peer review. So now there's a new option, choose peer review questions. Here we go, present an example for one type of adaptation and explain how the adaptation helps the organism to survive. This is a really good one because not only would my students have to present an example and write, but when they read other students' peer-reviewed responses, they get exposure to other types and examples of adaptations. They might pick up errors a student has missed the first time, and they can see how other students write about it. So there's lots of potential when they're getting feedback that looks like this to say, this is not a physiological adaptation. In fact, it's a structural adaptation. Or in this example, I'd like you to explain more about how the structure helps survival, or you forgot to mention survival, common things that students would pick up on, hopefully to help them think about how they write, but also help improve other students too. When they get that feedback, they can then have another go themselves and improve their answer. So the lessons themselves will take about half an hour and then 10 minutes for the long answer. If I didn't use that pollutions and ecosystem, I might remove it. So 17-minute lesson, 10-minute peer review, about half an hour I probably want to put aside. And then how many do I want them to review? 1, 2, or 3? 2 is pretty good. So each student gives 2 reviews and should get 2 in return. And you probably want to use the comment method in there for the most effective option. So adaptations, recent and peer review. One option you may want to consider as well, some teachers, when they are giving the full lesson there, don't necessarily want the full lesson. So they may wish to go in and use things like the assign specific sections. So rather than providing the entire lesson for students, unselect the parts that they don't necessarily want to give. So maybe they just want to put in some notes for students to refer to. Maybe leave a quick understanding and then remove everything else. I removed the question that I actually wanted in there. There we go. Other options. So if they've done it before, you might want to set it for them to make sure they do it again, so they're actually part of the peer review process, and any emails you want turned on as well. One thing to note before I assign this and take a look through it is if you're wanting to do it with a subset of students, maybe students particularly working towards excellence or really trying to break rank, or you're trying to limit the pool of students, you need at least 6 students for a peer review to work. It has to be a large enough sample to get enough pool of questions for the students to work on. Once I have assigned my peer review task, in the responses section afterwards, I can then go and see, as a teacher, how students have responded to the peer review. So if I go into the task and their responses as normal, I will have my student list down one side, the student's answer in the middle with any model answers, and then on the right-hand side, any feedback. You can still leave feedback as a teacher, and you will see the student feedback from the peer review underneath. One thing that's really nice to note is if your student did multiple attempts, so maybe they wrote their first response, gave and received feedback, and then they came back and did a further second attempt, or even third attempt, you can see the attempts. So attempt 1 might have had some feedback, and then they've gone and done attempt 2. And it's maybe more feedback from you or someone else before doing a third and final attempt. But at any point, you can see if a student has had multiple goes at it, what the feedback has been, and if they've taken that feedback on then to improve their answer from first to second attempt. So this first attempt had some feedback telling them how to improve, had another go, and then that's a really nice option for you to sort of acknowledge that or capture that, and even giving some feedback yourself, going, I can see from the first attempt you have really taken on the peer review and the feedback your peers have given you to improve X, Y, and Z. This is fantastic, you've really rounded out your answer and improved the quality, or to make those final improvements, your last step is to work on this. So you can really make that quite a rich learning experience for them. And that is your peer review.